Hello, I'm Dr. Bob DeMaria, the Drugless doctor, getting to know ADHD and ADD. Right now in America today, there are 5 million children that have been diagnosed with ADHD. There are 8 million adults that have ADHD. ADHD kids go on to become ADHD adults unless somebody interrupts the cycle. So ADD is attention deficit disorder. The child basically is not going to be paying attention. ADHD is attention deficit. At the same time, that child is jumping around. They are very hyperactive. So let's talk about these. We're going to talk about them as one. The hyperactive child maybe is going to be going up a notch, and it can continue on with even more severe and bizarre health challenges. Here's the physiology from what I see from my drugless practice. It all started way back in the late 1970s and early 80s when the American public was having more challenges with the elevated cholesterol. And for whatever reason, the fast food industry, where people were consuming a lot of their meals at that time, switched their fast food from being fried in lard and beef tallow to trans fat or partially hydrogenated oils. This is about the same time when the economy in America started to change, women started to enter the workplace. And at that particular time, people started using more convenience foods. Convenience foods have trans fat or partially hydrogenated oils a part of the ingredients. As time went on, we had more and more children that were having issues with ADD and ADHD. In the early 1990s, there was a law that was passed that if a child had been diagnosed with ADHD, the school system and the parents would have an opportunity to receive financial aid because it was considered a disability. In 1995, I read an article in one of the major business papers in the United States that had a snapshot of the amount of snack food that was consumed in America. In Ohio, Indiana, Michigan, there was about 23 pounds of snack food being consumed at that time, which was some time ago. The next most was up in the New England area, where about 22 pounds of snack food was being consumed. Southern California and Florida had the least amount of snack food. The following year, a local newspaper did a month study on Ritalin and ADD and ADHD, and they determined that there was a small community in Michigan, in Dickinson County, where 8% of the kids were taking Ritalin on a regular basis. The next most was up in the New England area, where there was literally thousands of milligrams of Ritalin being dispersed every year to school children. So I came to the conclusion there had to be an overlap and determined that trans fatty acids, which is found in snack food, had to have a part with the dysfunction in these children's brain. Let me share this with you. There's a fat in the brain called DHA. DHA is a long-chain fatty acid called docosahexaenoic acid. It's very important for behavior health. Well, when you eat food, food has to go through steps to become these long chains fats. Trans fat sabotages your body's ability to make DHA. There is a principle and a biologic pattern that occurs in trans fat. It's called a half-life. So that means if you ate an item today that had trans fat or partially hydrogenated oils as one of the ingredients, that fat will sabotage the formation of DHA for not only for 51 days, but a total of 102 days. So we have school children today, 31 million school children that are eating the National School Lunch Program, that their bodies are being interrupted. Their ability to make good fat for the brain is being interrupted by the trans fat that they're eating. Do you know in America today that we create 8 billion pounds of trans fatty acids? The restaurant industry alone uses 5 billion pounds of trans fat. In the state of California, restaurants are not allowed to use trans fatty acids. One of the nation's largest health food stores, Whole Foods, does not allow trans fatty acids or partial hydrogenated oils in any of the products they sell in their store. New York City has done the same. No restaurants serve trans fatty acids. Do you know that trans fatty acids not only promote heart disease, but they also promote brain dysfunction? Young boys tend to have ADHD 3 times more than young girls because their need for oil has a 30% increase. So if you have an ADHD child at home, statistically it's probably a young man who has a passionate addiction for foods that have trans fat or partial hydrogenated oils. And what I have found from my experience is the #1 food that's going to be the leading cause of ADHD and ADD in America today is commercial grade peanut butter. The first ingredient is peanuts, the second ingredient is sugar, and the third ingredient is partial hydrogenated oils. And I know some of you might think, well, Dr. Bob, the peanut butter we eat does not have trans fatty acids in it, and I congratulate you for that. I do know that peanut butter also has a potential to cause sinus challenges. When we did our pilot program with ADHD kids, we also found oftentimes they were deficient in B vitamins. A lot of times these children might cry easy. A great source of B vitamins is brown rice, but what we have done in our pilot program and in the books that we've written on ADHD is we always supplement with at least 1 tablespoon of flax oil per 100 pounds, at least a teaspoon of marine oil, whether it be anchovy or sardine oil combined, and or a capsule of the same. Usually you do that for 18 days. A part of the challenge when it comes to ADHD is food coloring. Food coloring alters behavior because the food colors also alter the formation of DHA in the brain. So you might have a child that might eat some candy or some other item that has colors in the ingredients. Yellow dye number 5, yellow dye number 2, red dyes, green dyes, blue dyes. So you want to be aware of the dyes that your children are having, whether they be in breakfast cereals or candies. Finally, that most children today don't consume enough minerals. Minerals act as a spark plug in your body. If you don't have enough minerals, you're not going to be able to make those long chain fatty acids. And the one that we're really concerned about is DHA. I've also learned from my experience that these children also may have ADHD and ADD because of dairy products. See, dairy has a fat in it called arachidonic acid. And if these children are eating cottage cheese, milk, ice cream, cheese on their pizza, it's going to interrupt also the formation of DHA in the brain. It all comes down to we want to make sure that we have that long chain fatty acid called DHA to be produced in an uninterrupted fashion. The half-life of good oil, I mentioned to you, trans fat has a half-life of 51 days. The half-life of good oil or flax oil is 18 days. Therefore, if your child will make dietary changes, including the elimination of trans fat, and that means you too as an adult, because adult men have major challenges with ADHD also, if you make those changes, you'll see improvement as little as 18 days. I have often found that children that have been diagnosed with ADHD or ADD or Asperger's, which is an extended level of the ADHD, if they make these lifestyle changes that I mentioned, eliminating partial hydrogenated oils, improving their B vitamins, cut back on sugar and food coloring, make sure you're taking a marine-based oil, including flax oil, I'm going to share this with you. You can see changes in as little as a 3-week time period. Guaranteed, I've seen it happen for over 20 years. I'm Dr. Bob DeMaria, the Drugless Doctor, getting to know more about ADHD and ADD.